Huh? Through Tuesday. Yeah. So this is chapter 7, exploring problem solving, software, apps, games. This is going to be pertinent to a lot of things we do because you're going to have an app project where you're going to look at apps for your lesson plan decision. It'll be similar to, well, actually it'll be group, okay? For my online people, it'll be a discussion board type thing, but for you guys, it'll be a group presentation. But that's down the road. This chapter is also going to talk about 3D printing, and I do have a 3D printer in there, but we're going to look at that Thursday. And for my online guys, we will have a separate video on how that, all that stuff, because that's going to be mobile. But this is an interesting chapter because it deals a lot with this stuff. So we're going to discuss how technology generates problem solving, or how it can generate problem solving, and inquiry-based learning among students, how we evaluate it, compare and contrast different types of stuff like this, and analyze game-based learning, digital games, educational simulations, and curriculum resources and for teachers and students, which we will talk about on Thursday as well. Your third and final extra credit opportunity I will introduce on Thursday. Again, you can do all 3 of them. I think it's confusing. Some people think I can only do 1. No, you can do all 3 of them for a total of 45 points. Okay? And they're going to be all due at the end of the semester. And I'll make a big time announcement about that when they're going to be due. And that's when I'll grade them all, because they're all going to come flying in. Okay. So we want to just ask ourselves why we're watching this and looking at this thing and talking about it. How do teachers use technology to promote problem solving, conceptual thinking, and coding skills among students? And how can teachers and students evaluate and select high quality educational software and apps? Because it's an issue. There's so much stuff out there. We'll talk about that. Types of inquiry-based tools that teachers and students can use in the classroom, and what are the debates? Because not everybody agrees that games are good. So we'll talk about that as we go on. So with a traditional classroom, the teacher is doing the questioning, planning, and researching mainly. The students are creating, improving, and presenting. But project-based learning, or PBL, is really the students doing everything. It's more tactile, it's more hands-on, it can be digital in nature if you want it to be that way. But, you know, to gain students' attention, problems must be questions worth answering. You know, if it's not something they don't want to answer, it can be, you know, complacent. So we like real life problems and problem-based learning, and that really does inspire students. So questions need not have a right or predetermined answer to spark student investigation, which is the bottom line of this. We want them to look and go through a process in order to engage in what we want them to learn. And there's a lot of different ways to do that we'll talk about here. So, Polya, brilliant man, he just, you know, the historical stuff of problem solving in education, he came up with the understanding the problem, using problem solving strategies and checking results, and his work has inspired a lot of different things and a lot of different people to come up with a lot of different problem solving steps. We have the science problem solving matrix, which is like, does anybody know that?
The scientific method?
Yeah, like the scientific method. We have the engineering methods and all these types of things that really start out with, what's the problem and ends up with, did we solve the problem and how can we make it better, and steps in between. So, problems in society are often complicated and messy, yes, or ill-structured. And a lot of compromising has to go into solving these problems. But we have ways we can do it with technology, which is what we're going to be dealing with in the next couple slides. So, Paul, you said it's better to solve one problem 5 different ways than to solve 5 problems one way, which is very thought-provoking, okay, in my mind. There is a power PDF to his principles that you can look at. Again, I want these PowerPoints to be like something you can click on if you've got something's interest of you and you've got to write a research paper for another class. This is good stuff. So, this is like a 4-page PDF of really his history and so forth, and I hope it's going to pop up, but we'll see. This computer's been giving me trouble lately. Busy with doing something, are you?
On my computer? No.
No.
I have to slide up.
Okay, I know, but you need to be like paying attention. Okay. Okay, so maybe that'll pop up, maybe it won't. So we have things we can do for this problem-based learning, conceptual thinking, where we analyze each step to get to a goal. It has problem-solving concepts. In this case, they're talking about in computer science. Coding is something we can do with students, and students really buy into this at a very young age because it can be very simple. And I'm going to show you Coding Monster here. That'll hopefully pop up. There we go. That worked pretty good. So this is just like a that's not on the slides, so I'm seriously need you to pay attention.
Well, I'm looking up at the.
Okay, I either you're going to stop doing that or you're going to leave. Okay, one or the other, you choose. So it says click on my words to see what next. You're going to learn some programming. Click again, and below me on the left is JavaScript code. On the right is what it does. So this is the code, and this is what's going to happen when we manipulate this code. So they're saying you can use the fill rect this thing to draw a box. See the number 50? Can you change that to 150? So you go in here to 50 and you change it to 150, and that's what happens. The box gets bigger. So, and you can change it to whatever. You can manipulate all these to do things. And whoop, back here. I think I messed that up. You go back. Yeah, see, I've screwed it up already because I did some things. So, just manipulating these numbers, you can do stuff, and that, to kids, that is some big time stuff. They are actually controlling what's happening over here, and that sparks interest. Okay, this is a very elementary, rudimentary type situation, but for a, even a first or second grader can do this stuff, and it can be very exciting to them. Okay. Open source. So it's difficult for schools to choose and purchase software because there's so much stuff out there. There are open source and closed source. Open source is free, closed source is proprietary, meaning, if you want them to manipulate photos, you can find something online to manipulate photos for free, or you can go buy Adobe Photoshop, which is gonna cost money, and it's proprietary, so you can't buy just one for the class. You've gotta buy, if you have a class of 24, you gotta buy 24 copies of it. So it'll be very expensive. So when school districts and teachers are looking at buying this stuff, you have to do a lot of homework, okay? So, we have things for teachers like Moodle, and Moodle is a learning management system similar to Blackboard. And if you click on Moodle, or I'll click on it, hopefully it'll open. Doing good here, 2 out of 2. So it's got all this stuff to start a project. It's something that kids can interact with on their computers at home, on their phones, whatever. So, and you can do assignments, quizzes, all this stuff that you can do on Blackboard, you can do on Moodle for free. Blackboard costs a lot of money. There's another one called Class Dojo. Anybody heard of that one? Yeah, Class Dojo. So there's a lot of stuff out there that's open source. Identifying good software by recognizing poor software's features. So if you're Pappard, who's a hero of mine, educational hero of mine, he came up with Mindstorms, the robotics, and back in the 70s when he looks like an old hippie from Berkeley, but he came up with this robot and computer type stuff to help students program and code and do all this stuff. This little box here it comes out, and then you program it to make the robot move and do things and stuff like that. It hooks into a computer, and so it can be good, but the computer, not the child, controls the activity. The program promotes competition, stereotyping, or violence. Is that what we want? The software favors quick reactions over long-term thinking. Those are issues when we're buying this stuff and we're recognizing this stuff. So, Pappard says the role of the teacher is to create conditions for invention rather than providing ready-made knowledge. That's good, but he also said, will the child program the computer, or will the computer program the child? So, we have to look into all this stuff when we're buying things, and looking into it. And we can use a thing called a rubric. What's a rubric? You know what rubrics are as students, right? Okay. So, they're a guideline, it's a guideline of, I give you a project or whatever, and I have a rubric associated to it. We can use rubrics, we don't just use rubrics for that. In education, we use rubrics for a lot of things in education, and one of them would be to evaluate this stuff, because generally in schools, we have committees, a technology committee that, it's not just one person that makes the decisions. Okay. I'm the chair of the technology committee in this college, so when I meet with my guys, we usually have something from the dean that says, hey, we need this, find it out, what's going on with it, and we as a committee look into it. Okay, or someone makes a request of us and we look into it for them. So all these things can have to be looked at. And you guys are going to make a rubric down the line. You're going to make a rubric for your lesson plan, really fast and really easy. Okay, so criteria, selection, and evaluation. Does software encourage higher order or lower order thinking? And this is, again, we've looked at blooms before, and we're gonna look at it again twice in this presentation, actually gonna see blooms again. But again, remember, the lower order thinking is, what we're just remembering, understanding. We start getting to the higher order thinking when we're applying something, analyzing something, evaluating something, creating something. But creating is the highest order thinking. So we look at this when we're buying software or evaluating software or games or whatever we're doing with technology with the students. Does it encourage the higher order thinking? Or if we want, is it just remedial stuff where we just want students to remember, like online flashcards or something like that? Where's it sitting here? There's a lot of stuff out there that we can use to evaluate software. So we have the Edudemic Dictionary, which the link does not work, so I couldn't. We have the Entertainment Software Rating, which is actually very interesting. We're going to take a quick look at it. When you click on here, not sure if I had already put in something. So I put in Call of Duty, right? Just to see what the rating was on it. And on all platforms and content, all content, so we're talking language, nudity, sexual, blood, gore, everything, and I hit search. Hopefully it'll pop up. Popped up before. Okay, dang. I had a whole thing here, so let me try a new search. Okay, well, it doesn't want to work down here. It worked very well on my computer upstairs. It had a box here that had the whole description of what it was and what it did, and it's like talking about it has waterboarding in it, and it uses the F word and the S word quite often, and all this other stuff, how violent it is. Okay, so it doesn't seem to want to work down here, and that's fine. But there are places to go. Stopbadware.org is another place that kind of evaluates stuff, saying URLs currently blacklisted, 1,300,000 and stuff, and so this is like a place not necessarily evaluating games, but evaluating websites that they don't want the students to go to. So that's an interesting concept as well. There are places to look at, right? Composing and calculating software. Okay, we have all kinds like Word and stuff. If we got any bloggers in here? Yeah. Okay. So. And we have all kinds of other technology stuff. GeoGebra, actually said it correct, is a great website for math, games. So if you're doing the math stuff for the websites, that's a good place to go. I don't think I linked it to it. Okay. Children of all ages build, invent, and create as engagement with open-ended exploration and investigation. So, text-based tools for building, inventing, and creative are most effective when they do not require a single right way of using them. So, how many of you buy something and you just throw the directions aside and you start tinkering with it, something complex? You probably all have been there, it's just inherent. Now, I got these kids. I got 5 kids in my house, and I have so much stuff in my house because I'm a real tech geek. you know, and they're just getting their fingers in everything. Uncle, what's this? You know, every 5 seconds they're in my face about something. And I'm like, where did you get that? Why did you get that? Is that yours? It's not a toy. Put it back, you know, stuff like that. But they're very inquisitive. They want to know everything about everything. And it's not, you know, subjugated to American children. These kids are pure Nigerian babies, all right, that have only been in America for 3 weeks, you know, and they're still just want to know everything about everything. So, and that's just inherent of the children. So they want to look, they want to play and mess with it before actually reading the directions and finding out how it goes. And that's a creative way of learning. And we can use it for a thing called stealth learning, which we'll talk about in a second. There's other really creative stuff out there. So KidPix, this is a screenshot of KidPix and how they, you know, it's very colorful, very engaging for younger kids. Google Sketch is a little bit more for the older kids, but you can get very, very intricate stuff with those, and there's links to both of those. We're not going to look at them. The maker movement. So there is a maker space. There used to be, I think it moved to Capitol Circle, but it used to be down at Railroad Park. And a maker space is really something where you can go in, anybody can go in and build stuff. Like you want to build a dresser, you know, you get plans in the wood, you can go in there and build it, and they'll help you. Okay, if you want to do some 3D printing, they have 3D printers there. Anything basically you want to do, they're going to have, as far as working with your hands. Okay, so I'm trying to get one at MS Thomas through the dean, and we're still negotiating on that, so hopefully we'll have something down there, because I've got tools galore and all kinds of stuff down there. But they are worldwide. They are all over the world, and this is an ad for one. Not sure where it's at, New York City, okay? But just all kinds of stuff. What is this? What's this called? Right, okay. You know I was gonna get one, at least one in Word Cloud. You know I was gonna get at least one in here, okay? And then the 3D printers. So we'll talk about 3D printers a little bit more on Thursday. I'll bring out the 3D printer. I have it, and we'll start printing something. You'll see how it works, and I've got a bunch of samples and stuff. I just didn't want to drag it out today, but we'll look at that. But my colleague down at the DRS, he's got 2 3D printers. He prints stuff. He's actually printing parts to fix the one that's broken. So he's got one that's broke. He's actually printing the parts out to fix it. I mean, you can actually print a 3D printer. Okay, most of it, 90% of it. Okay, so we'll talk about those on Thursday and how they are educational. Okay, there's a lot of different types of things and concept maps and all these things. We're going to look at concept maps. This is one called Persuasion Map, and it's a little bit different than a concept map, but you know, you have the student find a real world problem. In this case, recycling your mobile phone. That was this person's real world problem. And go through steps of why it's relevant, examples on how to fix it, and do whatever, and then conclusions. So it's very effective and it can all be done online. There's other concept maps that I put up there. This is my favorite. This is on superheroes. So you have this is the idea. And, you know, so some of them have hidden identity. What's their motivation? What powers do they have? And then they go down into the next level. Training, crisis, greed, physical transformation. And they go down into the next one. What they do. You know, shape shifters, superior strength, extra speed. Then down to the actual person. Plastic Man, Elastic Girl, Flash, Aquaman, whatever. So you see how this works. These concept maps work. with this example, here's one that an actual student did, on online surveillance. So this is one that, some kid did, and, they can be very effective. Because they have to research every concept in order to make the concept map complete. So they're gonna be doing research, you're gonna be writing all this down, and you can do them online. There's online tools that do them. And so, is this not showing up on your PowerPoint? It is? It's not? Okay. So, check it out, it's pretty cool stuff. Again, you can get free software to make these things online, yeah.
Did they make the other one online?
This one?
That one?
No, I think they drew that, I think they just did that one. You can do it on paper too, Intelligent tutoring systems, okay, so, this is like remedial stuff. What are we gonna do to help students that need help or not getting stuff? So we have online tools to help us with that. They call them intelligent tutoring systems. They're called remedial software. They're called a myriad of things. The book is using this term. It can get so simple as flashcards, like I said, into so deep where you're having an online person, like a chat or actual face-to-face, like Skype or FaceTime or something like that, with a student to help them. There are places out there now where students can FaceTime into somebody and talk with somebody while they're going through the problems. It can get that intricate. So there's a lot of tools as well that are out there that can help. The problem with this is that the programs are really directing the students to the correct answer as fast as possible, so the critical thinking aspect may not be in there with all this online stuff. And this is just a model, kind of a concept map, actually, sort of. Digital games and game-based learning. So, games have a wide reach. Obviously, kids love them, I was out on the road the other day, and I was taking a woman and her kids to school. This was an amazing woman. She was born with no legs and one hand, and she had 5 babies, and she's like rocking it, man. She's taking care of these kids. She's wheelchair bound, but she's taking them to school. She actually works at the school, and but we're on our way there, and the kid is listening. It has a phone, and they're doing the alphabet, phonics alphabet, and the mom took the phone away and said, phone. I baby just wanted that phone back so bad, So it's just like, and it's the new pacifier, it really is. But if you use it to have them learn, because I'm thinking to myself, wow, this baby's like 3 years old, and she's already learning ABCs, and she's already associating letters to objects and all that stuff. So mom took it away, and then she started singing Itsy Bitsy Spider without any thing, just old school mom and daughter bonding singing, with one of those rhyming deals, So it was just really cool, fascinating woman. So, 7 reasons to try out game-based learning. Well, they bridge between abstract and concrete. There's information sticks. Students make connections, promotes critical thinking. Information is more accessible, starts the love of learning, hopefully, and boosts engagement. So these are all really good reasons to do it. There is an article I put here, again, if you want some information about this, game-based learning article. I almost was gonna give you extra credit if you read it and wrote a review, but I decided not to. But because it's not that long. But there's really good articles about gamification and game-based learning and it's really, you know, in our future. Other educational games, teachers may include some games in their curriculum. Obviously, you don't wanna do this all the time, all right? You don't wanna just be a bad teacher and say, come to the computers, play your games, I'm done for the day, you know, let me know your score. And do this throughout the semester or grading cycle or whatever. Again, we do not use technology for technology's sake. We use it to enhance what we are trying to teach these children. Okay? I can't emphasize that enough. But there are stuff out there, again, first grade, fifth grade, math for both, you know, going from add and subtract for the first grade, going to algebra components for the fifth grade, up and up and up, okay? And we can use games, again, to enhance what we're trying to teach. Critics, this is the thing, you know, critics point out students become more concerned about winning than learning. You know, they're getting from point A to point B, but what are they getting out of it? Haha, I won, you know? I mean, are they really getting the cognitive things that we want them to have? So this is competitive situations can discourage non-competitive students, interesting concepts, or those who perceive themselves to be poor game players. So, you know, not everybody loves the games, and people who don't like to play games are feeling forced to do it, and that can lead to, you know, some adverse effects. Games can make students seek external rewards rather than the satisfaction of learning. Okay, so it's just, there's all this stuff. But all she does is play games. She'll never be able to get a job. You're just a permissive parent. You know, how can you tell if she's learning? That's a good question. How do you know if they're learning when they're playing these games all the time? Kids can't learn without discipline. There's all these concepts that we have to consider. Serious games. Well, serious games are more how we computer-based immersive games with educational information purposes. That's good. There's a like difference between gamification, serious games, and game-based learning. It's more like more intricate on something like using medical, you know, a student wants to be a doctor or something like that, so we have a really more intricate game on how a hospital works or how an operation starts, you know, the whole washing the hands and making sure all the instruments are sterile and stuff like that. It's a little bit more serious than what's going on. So it says here learning, and it bridges the gap between learning and playing. So